Ball in full flow in transition. The quick strike puts Sacramento back up by 4.
Oh, it's going to be great to hear the G-Man again. Season 40 for the Sacramento Kings in Sacramento begins on Thursday. NBA opens up tomorrow night. 2 games, including the Timberwolves, who will be playing the Lakers. So the Kings and T-Wolves will start on Thursday for Sacramento in their home and season opener. And, you know, I'm always optimistic, or I'm always excited, I should say, to start the season. There's been plenty of years where I haven't been as optimistic on what the Kings will be and can be and look like. And I'd be curious to get the pulse of you guys out there at 916-339-1140 on our YouTube chat as well, all of you that are in there today, and thank you for being there, where you are to start this Kings season. Because my general belief on talking to you and seeing comments and social media and everything with this offseason was a genuine excitement about the Sacramento Kings. And I was there too, and I am there. I was nervous about the offseason. I thought they could keep Malik Monk, but when you kept reading and hearing more, it's like, man, this is going to be that's a tough one to lose. And they didn't lose him. And that was such a great start to the offseason and getting Malik Monk. And then when the free agency kind of was going on and the Kings were being rumored as so many different names and a lot of that didn't happen, I could just sense a lot of people were getting frustrated with that. And just because you change up things doesn't mean you got better. And so I was like, look, they got one of the biggest free agents they could get. Was keeping Malik Monk was critical. They had extended Mike Brown. I thought that was really important too, just to create stability here. And then when they got DeRozan, it was kind of a shift for me. That's someone I've been talking about trying to get for probably the better part of 2 to 3 years. I really was high on DeMar DeRozan. And so I thought it was a good offseason. And, you know, a sprinkling here and there. I was really hoping that Devin Carter would be available at the beginning, but he's injured. So you kind of deal with all of that. You get some offseason injuries. You get Herter coming back. And you know, just excited about what this team could be this year. And I've said it. I'll say it again. My preseason stance is I don't care if they win. If they went 5-0, 0-5, it's how do you play? Game 1 looked good, looked really good. Got to the deeper bench and they lost. Doesn't matter. Remember, don't care if they win or lose. Game 2 in San Francisco, starters looked good. That group, I think, had a 10 to 12 point lead. When they went out, it unraveled a bit with the bench. Warriors won. I don't care. Coming home, playing the Blazers, starters played. It was even talked about by Mike Brown in the pregame. Look, I'd probably like to get my starters in at the end of this game too, just to let them see what that feels like. Well, they played so poorly that Mike Brown didn't bring his starters back. And he's like, I don't want them to go through that. And because it was that bad of a game, turnovers everywhere, shooting was awful. And if it was a regular season game, they would have been booed at home. But okay, we'll throw that one away. The next game, they're in Utah. And they did some good things. They played better than they did against Portland, but they kind of went for it. They left the starters in, played a ton of minutes, tried to, there was an effort to be in late game situations, to execute and to win, and they did not win. And then the last game, the Clippers sat people, the Kings sat a couple people, and that game wasn't very good either. So 5 preseason games with, I would say, more bad than good. It's not a dictator of the season, but it does raise some questions, raises some concerns. And for me, I will speak for myself as someone who is generally an optimist. Generally an optimist. I had a little bit of that optimism diminish with the preseason. Now, it could be right back on fire, and it will be come pregame and tip-off. I mean, the excitement will all be there. That's not a question. And that's one of the things I always talk about with Dave when maybe things are tough and not going well. It almost feels like there's a different world of fan that's at the game compared to the one that's watching it on social media, more on social media, which I know that's probably a common sense saying, but you know, when you're at the game and you get there and you're just excited to be there, there's a vibe, there's an energy, and it's community. And I don't know, I've said this before, when the Kings were terrible in winning, 17, 20 games a year, it kind of didn't matter every night when the anthem finishes, the music starts, and Fresh gets the building going, and Moke does the intros. I'm like, man, Here we are again. You don't know what's going to happen tonight. This is fun at an NBA game. Now, all of that is made better when the team is good and they're rolling and there's, stakes in the game. So I'm curious how you guys feel as the season is about to begin. You feel optimistic? You feel concerned? Do you think this is going to be a great season, an in-between season, a bad season? And I'll restate what my overall view is of the Sacramento Kings, again, for those of you that have missed it. I think the Western Conference is as difficult to predict this year as any year that I can remember. And my point is, I think there's a lot of good teams. I think they can be interchangeable. And when you see the Western Conference have 5 different teams in the finals the last 5 years, there's been 5 different 1 seeds. The changeover is not always easy to predict. Let's grab, I'm going to look at a roster team here. Oh, Memphis. I'll pick Memphis. They're a good example. 2 years ago, the number 2 seed, young roster. Look out for Memphis. Last year, injuries just crushed the team. They were one of the worst teams in the West. What are they going to be this year? I think back closer to what they were, but how high up? Are they going to be 2 or are they going to be 6? Are they going to be 9 or are they going to be 1? I don't know. OKC. I think a lot of people thought they'd be better last year. I did not see them as a 1 seed. Now they're probably the team most people think will be the 1 seed again. Okay. Maybe, probably. I don't know. Could they drop a few games? What does dropping a few games mean? Does that drop them to a 5 seed, to a 9 seed? I mean, it's that fragile to me in the West. And maybe a team or two will separate themselves and get up to that 58, 59, 60 win plateau. Maybe. But, you look at the Kings as a great example. 2 years ago, winning 48, and that was a nice 3 seed. Now, when they played the Warriors as the 3-6, it's like, oh, the Kings are the better team. It was 48 wins versus 46. By seeding, they were higher, but we all know 2 games is nothing in the NBA. But then last year, to show that 2 games, well, it was something. From 48 wins to 46 for the Kings, they dropped to 9th. And they were in the play-in and got through 1, but not the 2nd. So I think if you draw a perfect line down the season for the Kings and say, these guys are going to play this way, they're going to play this many games, they're going to stay injury-free, and just kind of stay in a nice, consistent, even way, I think they could be right up there at the top of the Western Conference. No problem saying that. But remember, that's the super optimistic, things going right, talent all lays in together. That does happen, but reality is it's never as smooth as that. So how do they respond to the bumps? How bad are the bumps? How critical are the injuries? What's the longest losing streak? Is there, are they getting some teams just having some rotten luck on when they're playing some teams? That does happen. So many times there's a schedule loss. It's like, oh, man, this is not the right time to play this team. Do you get them then? They play, for example, the Lakers 4 times, I think, all before New Year's. What if the Lakers are a better first-half team than a second-half team? Or what if it's vice versa? Man, it's good that they got the Lakers early because they found their groove here after the All-Star break, or they made that trade that changed that team. So a lot of it is your own doing, but a lot of it, too, is what do other teams do? What trades do they make? What injuries do they have? When are the injuries? And what is that team going through? So I've got the Kings from 1 to 12, and that's about as open-ended, sitting on a fence take I can think of, but that's my honest belief. Last year, I thought they had a good team. Things didn't go as well. They finished 9th. They weren't terrible. They weren't as good as the year before, but what's odd in that is last year, Monk probably should have won 6th Man of the Year. Sabonis had his best year of his career. Fox was amazing. And it was some of the ancillary players that I thought didn't play as well last year. I got to believe Fox is going to be good. I really believe Sabonis will be great again. I'm high on Keegan Murray. I like the DeMar DeRozan add-on. Malik Monk should be awesome. So just on those 5 guys right there, I believe in all 5 of them. The bench is a bit of a concern, but I think if Herter is healthy and Lyles is healthy You get what you can from Alex Len. I think Jordan McLaughlin will help this team. You hope to add Devin Carter at some before the season is over at some point. And it's still a roster that has flaws. I'm not ignoring that. But I think it has a lot of talent. And when you start to look at other teams, can they be better than the Rockets, the Blazers, the Spurs, the Jazz? I think so. Can they be better than the Lakers? Who knows? Pelicans, not sure. Clippers, I think. Warriors, Thunder, Mavs, Nuggets, man. Suns, Grizzlies. There's a lot of good teams. And I think they're all thinking the same thing. What if everything goes right for us in Memphis? What if everything goes right for us in Dallas? What if everything goes right for us in Denver? Or how much damage is it to us if it's not right? When does everything go right? So I'm excited. I really am. The preseason squashed it just a little bit, but as we get farther away from that and the new season begins, it's kind of irrelevant unless the shooting continues, the poor shooting, the turnovers continue, and some of the deficiencies with the roster continue. If that all continues, then that wasn't irrelevant. See if those were red flags or if those were just outliers in the preseason. All right. When we come back, we'll get back into more football. We got more Niners to discuss, but we want to get